He's the man, he's the myth, he's the legend, he's the scientist with all the answers to all the questions. It's time for another episode of Alex's Science Corner.
Thank you. No, please, thank you.
My hands are hurting. I had to stop.
What's going on in the wide, wide world of science, my friend?
All right. First up, a little bit of an update to information about the coronavirus, because we're still getting a massive amount of news about the coronavirus. And the U.S. government yesterday or the day before yesterday quarantined 195 U.S. citizens that arrived from China to see if they're carrying the virus or to make sure they're not carrying the virus.
Have they yet started banning people from China from flying in?
They're starting to ban flights from China. And, for example, Australia is not letting anyone come into from China unless they're Australian citizens.
Now, I believe the World Health Organization declared it a global, what's the word? Global
health emergency.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I thought it was an epidemic. No?
Not yet. Is it?
Well, yeah, it's tough. The challenge right now is, and I talked about this last week, it's a slightly more severe cold. Coronaviruses cause colds. This is a slightly more severe cold. Now, there are types of coronaviruses because this particular version of it is a new strain. And that's kind of why governments are, I don't want to say panicking, but extremely concerned because we don't have a lot of information about its...
And people are dying from it, too.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
The challenge, of course, is like I said last week, the death rate is about the same level as a cold. So the amount of people that die from colds is about, it's just a little bit worse than a cold, but not as bad as a flu.
But aren't the Chinese notorious for
Right, and one of the challenges also is because it's, I don't want to say mild, but because it's not flu levels, only the more serious people are going to the hospital, and those are the people that are being identified and reported. So a person who's just feeling off and stayed home, nobody knows that's, and this is why governments are concerned because they don't have the right numbers to make a proper assessment. So it's kind of let's panic now and let's overreact and underreact.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of governments are acting this way because it's a new virus. We don't have any information about it. Let's overreact.
And one report I heard, just not to interrupt you, but was that they were trying to... I am interrupting you. They were trying to close down the city. They were trying to close down...
Yeah, and right now it's well past the point of, that's...
What city?
Wuhan.
Yeah.
Okay,
but again, it's well past the point. Once it's out of the city, you're not doing anything else except causing problems for the people that are infected in Wuhan that aren't going to be able to get stuff in and out. And again, like I was saying before, or like I said last week, the death rate is lower than more serious outbreaks. And this is even with just a partial reporting of the people that have gone to hospitals. It is, it's, again, it's a very strong cold, but less than flu. Flus in the United States kill between 12 to 60,000 people a year. That's just putting it in perspective. Flus are worse than what this is so far. There are versions of a coronavirus like SARS and MERS. Those got into pretty high death rates, but those are not as contagious. And they're better controlled now than they were. But again, this is, for your average person, I wouldn't panic about it, but understand why the governments are panicking about it. Because, it's like I said, it's new, don't have good numbers on it, so it's better to overreact than underreact.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. What do you got?
So, next up. The first pictures from a brand new telescope are out. Now, this telescope is the Inouye Solar Telescope. And this telescope is on Helikia, Maui in Hawaii.
Ooh.
And
so it's one of ours.
Yes.
Nice gig.
Yes. And, well, the thing is, to go up to visit the telescope, you have to wear oxygen equipment.
Okay, maybe not such.
Okay. No, seriously, it's above 10,000 feet. Yeah, it's that high and it's above the clouds. And now it's
I'd
a
still like to
13-foot
do it.
diameter telescope, and this is a solar telescope, so it's looking at the sun.
That's big.
That's bigger than your arm's width, Bobby. And it has taken the most detailed pictures of the sun we have ever had taken. Now, that's saying something considering we have the Parker Solar Probe that's orbiting around the sun that's going into the close solar atmosphere. And that probe is the closest probe we've ever sent to the sun, and it's going to get closer over time. But this telescope has shown incredibly small detail on the sun, and I'm going to quickly show a picture. Now, one of the challenges, unfortunately, the big thing is the pictures it's taking of the sun. And the pictures it's showing, those little nodules that you see on there, Bobby, those are Texas side.
Where can folks go
They
see
will be
these
able
pictures?
to go. I will be able to post them on my YouTube channel. And so if you're watching the video, you'll be seeing pictures and the videos of it on the YouTube channel. Or as I'm speaking right now and you're watching the video, you're going to be looking at the pictures in the video right now. But if you're not, you can go online to the any of the science blogs like Science Daily or Science News websites. They will have pictures.
All right, this picture is from Science Daily. So if you're interested in seeing
and
this,
those little
you can go to
nodules
Science
you're
Daily.
seeing on there are Texas-sized.
Texas, the state of Texas.
Yes, each of those little nodules on there is the size of Texas.
Oh.
Yeah, so it doesn't sound like, well, Texas is big, but this sun is very, very big.
Yeah, how do they know that the size of them?
Because they know how far away the sun is. And
it's mathematically calculated.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Science is
It's all
hard.
math. It's all math.
Science is hard.
I'm so glad Bobby is like, math? Bobby, you're an accountant, right?
Yeah. It's all math.
Okay, and finally, the January 30th was the last day of it's the Spitzer Space Telescope. Did its last day of operation on the 30th, and now it's being shut down because it's run its course.
Now, where is it?
It's in orbit around the world.
Okay.
Okay, and it was one of the premier telescopes that has been running for 16 years. And it's being shut down because it's just reached the end of its life. And on January 30th was NASA's Day of Remembrance. This is the day that NASA remembers the 3 accidents that NASA's had.
Yeah.
Right, Apollo first, the anniversary of the Apollo 1 accident was on January 27th. The Challenger disaster happened on January 28th.
What year was that one?
86.
Is it 86?
86.
And the Columbia accident happened on February 1st.
1990.
My apologies. Yeah.
It was in the 90s, I know.
Yeah. I wrote down the days. I didn't write down the years. I do apologize about that. And so January 30th is NASA's Day of Remembrance for those 3 events.
It's curious how the 3 of them within.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, wintertime is not a good time to be launching rockets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, real quick before we go off of this, there was something that came down that they thought was a meteor in California. Did you see anything about that?
I saw something like that. It looks like it was a meteor, but some people took pictures of it. More than that, I haven't seen much else.
Because I heard it was debris. I heard it was. I was wondering if it had anything to do with the telescope that was being decommissioned.
No. That telescope, if it's being decommissioned, they're going to either push it up into higher orbit so it gets out of the way of other things, or they're going to nudge it so that it does fall. And unless people know exactly where it's entering the atmosphere, you're not going to see it happen. Because usually, if they can direct it to land, they're going to direct it to land in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
Because they don't want any place where it could accidentally hit somebody.
Okay.
So.
Okay. If you have any questions about these stories or anything else science-related, you can call the station right now at 203-837-9924.